very good morning and welcome to the Ladies Club. Let's spend half an hour together speaking all about women's sport and getting inspired. So good to have you in our lounge with us and to have our game changer, who I'll introduce in just a short while's time. Remember, this is an interactive show, so we're on social media. You can go to the SABC Sport Facebook page. On Twitter, it's @sport@SABC. You can even use my Twitter page, @Baylin_Curtly. The hashtag's so simple, hashtag the Ladies Club. Today's conversation is all about fitness, because our game changer today is a woman that knows a thing or two about not only being a fitness instructor, but also teaching others how to do it too. She's been involved with some of the country's biggest ABSA Premiership teams, and she's lived a couple of lifetimes when it comes to sports fitness. Our game changer today is none other than ELSA STORM. A very good morning and welcome to the Ladies Club.
Good morning. Nice to be here.
I can't wait to start talking to you and find out why fitness and how you got involved. But what we always do when we start off the show, we start off with a quote. And this one comes from another lady when it comes to football and being involved in the technical side of the game. And that's Vera Pauw, the former Banyana coach, and the lady who's now coaching in the women's premier division in America, Houston Dash. Vera Pauw, she says, the only thing I was worried about was giving my best. If you can't do that, you better not do it at all. You better take the common job, because coaching takes a lot out of you. And I think anything when it comes to being involved in the technical side of football is going to take all of you, and that's something that ELSA knows a lot about. You know what it's like to be involved in the technical team of a football team, and you'd agree with that. Hey, you have to give it your all.
You have to give it your all. Otherwise, somewhere along the line, one spoke in the wheel is going to go. It's a full-time, full focus, full passion, all the time job. Yeah, you can't separate it.
And although you've never been a coach, you have been the fitness and conditioning coach for Kaizer Chiefs for over a decade, in which you also had stints with Mamelodi Sundowns, Golden Arrows, Orlando Pirates. So you know exactly what it's like to be involved in that kind of environment.
Sure.
What is it like?
I would say it is, in inverted commas, stressful, because you have to make sure that every move you make is the right move. Because you're dealing with humans, and every human has got their own wheel to sort out, which the wheel, I always talk about the wheel with the 4 spokes, the physical, the mental, the social, emotional, and spiritual. So each one of those people have a wheel which you're trying to manage, and they must perform. So it's highly stressful, but it depends how you deal with that, you know. And if you have a good technical team, and you can put it all together. That's the secret. You have to be all part of this wheel to make it roll.
I think a lot of people on social media would agree with that. Hashtag the Ladies Club, that's how you can get in contact with that. So our game changer today, none other than ELSA STORM. And I did say I'm excited to speak to you because you have been involved in fitness on so many different levels in South Africa for so long. But how did it all start, and why being a fitness and conditioning coach?
I think I was born to be fitness and conditioning. I believe I could do movements before I could walk. So I think it was an inborn passion, and my parents just developed it. So it's not a job. It's who I am. I live through the body. And I was so happy to find out that lately they have now made a point of saying, which I've always believed, it starts with the body and it whips up to the brain. It's not from the brain down to the body. It comes from the bottom up. So it's what I've believed all my life. And we cannot function properly mentally if our physical is not in harmony. So it was always, for me, physical. And from there, I moved on to all the other things.
But you've also always emphasized the importance of having the right mindset. And you were speaking about that mental aspect of physical training in the 90s when you were putting together education manuals. It's something that we're going to be speaking about a little bit later on. But that's our game changer as well as our trailblazer on the Ladies Club. Stay with us. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. You're watching the Ladies Club. Thank you so much for staying with us. Today's game changer is also a trailblazer, as she's forged a path for women in football in South Africa at the highest level, which was never there before. She has been the fitness and conditioning coach at Kaizer Chiefs for over a decade, where she also had stints at Mamelodi Sundowns and Ajax Cape Town. Then she also worked closely alongside Mushinetagol when he was head coach at Golden Arrows and Mpumalanga Black Aces, as well as Orlando Pirates. Not only that, let me read a little bit more about this woman who is our game changer and sits in our studio today. She was a radio presenter on 702 and Kaya for over a decade, authored educational manuals and papers for fitness education, and she founded the Professional Aquatic Association of South Africa. She's a master trainer and instructor of Mad Dog Athletics and has been the fitness coach at the Nike Football Center since 2009. ELSA Storm is in studio. We've chatted to her a little bit more, a little bit earlier on. She said that movement has always been a part of her body, but you've achieved so much. If you could choose one thing that kind of stands head and shoulders above the rest, what would that be?
In football?
In all sport.
I would think it was Hussein and myself's time at Mpumalanga Black Aces, because we were given the freedom to do what we need to do to get this team to be on the log higher than some of the big teams, one goal away from the third position, and to show that our plan of action worked. I think that was a highlight, because we really proved that when you work as a family in a football team and you have the freedom to do what you know is right, then it can work.
Can you tell us a little bit about this relationship that you had with Mushinetagol? Because having a close relationship and a good working relationship with the head coach of the team that you're working at is very, very important.
It's the most important. Without that, you cannot achieve, because you have to plan together, you have to put your periodization together, and it's very important to know each and every player's psyche and body, because it's one, as we've spoken just now. It's one thing. And the head coach cannot always do all of it. I know there's other coaches. There's the goalkeeper and there's the assistant coach, but you have to be very close to each and every player and spend time with them, not just during work time. You have to sit at dinners and lunches, and we had a whole lounge made for us at Aces, where you had your Wi-Fi and we could watch the matches. So it was like a full-time job for everybody, but they enjoyed it because they were part of us. We were part of them, and look what we achieved through that. When
we were reading up about you, a picture of Barack Obama popped up in the search. Can you tell us a little more about that?
You know, when fitness people get together in the United States, there's big names, which we think is big names, which is just people like you and me. And they all look after fitness. So people like Usain Bolt, all of them are involved in fitness, and we all work together there towards one thing, which is good health. Because if you have your health, you have your wealth. No money can replace that.
Who would you say instilled that mantra for you?
I think the hardship of achieving in gymnastics. It's a very taxing sport, and I was always the youngest. So I was talented, but I had to work really hard. And your muscles ache and you're sore, but you do it.
So tell us a little bit more about being involved in gymnastics.
I think it's if people now want their kids to get into that, they have to start them very small. For any sport, spot the talent. Spend a bit more time, because I have my wealth at the moment is the youngsters that I train to go to Europe, young players, but their parents spotted their talent. And I take them for extra strength and conditioning, working on the power aspect a lot of times. And then they're ready, because mentally and physically, we get them ready for Europe, because it's not easy over there, away from parents, and especially at a young age. So they're really my wealth. And if you're young, it's hard, but I think it makes you stronger. it makes you so strong sometimes that you just say, bring it on.
Professional sport has changed quite significantly, hasn't it? And
Very
football
much,
in particular.
It has changed. I remember, I think I need to tell you how I got into the PSL.
Sure.
I was busy with my athletes, like I was before in my sport, and I had this man looking through a window week after week at what I'm doing. And I never knew who it was. And a few times he came to me and he said, I need you for my players, because what you're doing is the right thing. And that was Mohsen Etuka, and that's how I actually stepped into Kaizer Chiefs. So I just think it was so amazing, because I'm always cut off when I train. I never see really what happens around me because I'm very focused. But I saw and I felt the presence of somebody standing at the door. That was him. So he saw the work that I was doing. And it's about that. It's about what you can deliver to change people's lives. It's not just reading it in a book. It's more than that.
And you certainly have been with teams that have achieved quite a lot when you were with them. ELSA STORM is our game changer and trailblazer on the Ladies Club. We're going to be concluding our conversation with her in our final segment. Stay with us. We are back after this break. Welcome back to the Ladies Club. Remember, that's our hashtag on social media, on Twitter as well as on Facebook. Our game changer today is none other than ELSA STORM, a lady who got involved in artistic gymnastics when she was 3 years old, which helped to highlight the joy of movement. And that has laid the foundation for a lifetime in fitness and being a fitness and conditioning coach. She started with training high-performance athletes in the USA before she came to South Africa to do the very same thing. And that's when Mohsen Etuka spotted her and brought her into Kaizer Chiefs and football in South Africa. It's quite an amazing journey, and Mohsen has been key to that. Who else would you say has played an instrumental role in your career?
As far as football goes, I think he's the person that I respect the most because of his knowledge. He's also an exercise scientist, so he understands where I come from and he understands what I'm doing. So I don't need to explain because he knows and he can see what we have to do before an athlete can perform on the field. Because if your car's not well-tuned, full of fuel, good fuel, which we always make sure of, and haven't gone through the right paces, you cannot perform. So I think he's the man that can see that. And together we plan well. We have a good periodization to make sure we're not overtraining or undertraining, because it's a small tweak that's necessary to get a person injured.
How did you feel then when the news came that Mpumalanga Black Aces was going to be sold, seeing though what you and Mohsen managed to set up at the club was just so special? It
was probably one of the saddest camps we had when the news broke. And all the players and myself, we were just very down. And we had to go play a match that afternoon. So one of the directors flew up and motivated us and promised everybody that it's the whole team that will just move town or city, so to speak. But it's not always that easy, you know, to stay together. There's always different things coming in. So it was a sad moment because I really know the next year we would have taken the league if that group stayed together, because we had a long-term plan that we worked on. You know, it's difficult for coaches always to do it in the first season. So you plan long-term, at least 3-4 years, and we had that planned. So it was a sad moment, yeah.
You're the first woman to do what you have done in ABSA Premiership with a number of the PSL teams. But what is it like being a woman in that space? On an international level, we look at the former Chelsea doctor who had a very tumultuous time and a terrible breakup with the club after Jose Mourinho shouted at her for going on to the field of play, and then, you know, unequal treatment just because she was a woman. How do you feel about being a woman in that space?
You know, one of the things which is always amazing where I am, I don't really get seen as a woman. I get seen as one of the group or a part of the team. But that's when you work with people that are self-assured, men that have achieved, men that know what they're doing, men that are in the industry because they know what it's all about. They don't feel insecure or uncomfortable with a woman around them. But as you know, there was also times that I had to leave a team because coaches come in that are so not used to working with women. And I really don't need that. I need somebody to respect me for what I do. I'm not changing into a man for that, surely not. I know my stuff, I know what I do, and that's all I ask is respect, mutual respect from male to female.
It can't be a very easy and inviting environment, however, to work, especially when you're the only one.
I always say to the females, I don't suggest it. Stay with the female teams because it's hard. It's very hard. And because of my strong mind and maybe my background, that's why I can deal with it. But it's not easy. And I think your knowledge has to reach so high so that you really are so self-assured. And you can argue a point because you've been there, you've done that. You've seen it work. But it's not easy.
You've also worked with a number of our national teams, our national women's under-17 team and our national women's under-20 team. And I know that you've got a deep passion for helping youngsters achieve what they need to. What would you like to still achieve?
I think I would like to make women in this country believe that they can achieve a lot more. Because sometimes they don't believe in themselves. And it's difficult for me to deal with that because I'm used to working with athletes that want to achieve. And if a lot of the females don't believe that they can. And if they do, they don't realize the work that goes behind the scenes. That's hard work. Achievement comes through self-belief, but a lot of sweat, a lot of hours, a lot of pain. And if you're not able to give that, don't go there.
If there is your own motto and your own life mantra, what is it?
I would say integrity, because that's the only people I mix with. People with integrity, self-belief, hard work, honesty, and strive towards your goal. And don't let anything get in your way. Focus. As an entree, I'll always give you attitude and focus. Once you have the right attitude, the focus, I can give you the training as the main meal.
Who is also away from being a fitness and conditioning coach and also a mental coach?
I'm a person who loves spending time with my most precious possession, which is my big dog. My big dog, and I think most players know him by now, he's called Mufasa because he is the king. And Mufasa is 85 kilos big. So the players that have seen him will never forget him.
What kind of dog is he?
He's a burble. So he fills my other hours, for sure.
Yes, and slobbers on all of your clothes, I'm sure.
Not really. He knows how things go. So he also went down with me to Durban when I was with Golden Arrows. that was the prerequisite. Mufasa has to have his own room.
My word, that is very, very interesting. Finally, your words of advice to any woman that may want to venture and follow in your footsteps.
I would say start with the most important step, which is firstly, get experience, go with other trainers after your studies, and start with the youngsters. Because if you can prove that you can get a youngster to be injury-free and high-performing, then you've done that. So many times people want to go right to the top. It's like walking without even being born. So start small, because that's our future, those kids. It's not just a matter of a book or a printout on the internet. Deal with a little body there, know the body, prove yourself that you can get those kids injury-free and make their muscles fast or powerful or endurance muscles, whatever the case may be, whatever sport it's in, but start there, and then you'll get respect from others.
ELSA, it's been brilliant having you in studio, and I can only be so thankful that you share your pearls of wisdom on your website, African Storm Fitness, as well as on, is it Joburg Post?
joburgpost.org. All the articles, please go and read them. I've spent some time on them, and we're also coming live with some fitness clips for everybody out there.
Fantastic. And now that you've met ELSA Storm, you'll know that that is incredibly valuable advice. That's how we come to the end of the Ladies Club. It's just gone so quickly. Let's continue the conversation on social media. Until we meet again, remember that greatness is never given. It's always earned. Goodbye. God bless.